He was born August 2nd, 1988. As I looked at my perfect formed son, 7 pounds and 8 ounces, I named him a strong name, Arius Daquan. And I looked down at him that day and I was so proud to bring a second son into this world. I was so grateful. I was so thankful when the nurse came in and said, he is perfectly healthy. You got a bouncing baby boy. And she put a little blue cap on him and she whisked him out of the room and I rested. 3 months later, as I rushed to the health department to get his first childhood shot, a nurse came out. She was retiring the next day. She was about 75 years old. Arius was smiling and happy and everything was in place, and I was happy as well to have 2 beautiful, healthy boys. And as she stuck the needle into his upper right thigh, Arius screamed in excruciating pain. I just figured it was the norm because normally they get a little ruffled when they're taking their shot, so I didn't think anything of it. So as I went on my day and got my Tylenol together for his little baby drops, when he runs a little temp after his first childhood shot at 3 months of age, he finally fell off to sleep hours later. And as time went by, I noticed things was changing in his behavior. Things was beginning to change in the strength of his limbs, and I didn't understand what was going on, so I rushed him to the emergency room. And they couldn't find anything wrong. They didn't know what was going on, and neither did I. So the doctor said, just watch him closely, and if things worsen, bring him back in. I did, as things did become worsened as time went on. 1 month, 2 months, 3 months after that shot, he just became limp from one part of his limb to the next. His nerve system had been destroyed by the shot that was given by this nurse of 75 years of employment, because what had happened, come to find out through a lot of research, that she had struck Arius in the thigh in the wrong part of his leg. She struck him in the muscle, and it was paralyzing him slowly. And as he deteriorated, and as I heard the doctor say, you have just 17 months with Arius, and then he will no longer be with you. At that moment, I thought I was gonna die. I couldn't understand, how could a healthy baby boy come into this world and be destroyed by a shot? The shot that was supposed to prevent Arius from harm actually did harm. And as I constantly sit in the library reading book after book, trying to find out what could I do to help this problem, to change my son back to the healthy, bouncy baby boy that he was from the day of his birth, I couldn't find anything. The doctors attached names to him, false names of diseases that he never even had. It was a cover-up, of course. They must cover up for their own. They must protect their own. But they didn't understand the agonizing pain that I was going through as a parent as I slowly watched my son deteriorate, and it was absolutely nothing that I could do. I realized I was in the worst storm of my life. I didn't think I was going to make it. I didn't even know where to begin. And eventually that day came after many of times Arius stopped breathing, and I asked God to please bring him back to me because I wasn't ready to let him go. I couldn't understand how was I supposed to let go of something that was a part of me, something that I loved with all of my being. And then I finally realized that Arius was suffering a lot more than I most possibly could through the pain of him seeing other children his age running and walking and crawling around, and he couldn't do either one of those things. And also he was in a lot of excruciating pain as well. His lungs began to go out and he couldn't breathe, so he was hooked to a breathing machine at that point. And I just wanted to stop breathing myself at that point. I just didn't know what else to do. Well, the time had come, and his doctor was very kind and very compassionate and loving, and I stayed 31 days in the hospital with Arius, and I wouldn't leave, not even for a moment. And the day came where I had to finally give up him up to God. And I seen an angel come down into my room that day as I stood there holding Arius. And I was in so much pain on the inside of myself, I couldn't even see in front of me because tears were streaming down my face. And I was saying, God, please just give me the strength to understand this. Please give me the strength to know that I've got to let him go. Please help me through this storm. And as I slowly got up and unplugged the machine that he was breathing on, because I know he was just getting worse, he would never get any better. As the machine counted from 100 slowly down to 0, which took about 30 minutes, I looked down at Arius and he was still smiling that infectious, beautiful smile at me. He could always brighten the room no matter what pain or what he was going through. He had the most beautiful smile upon his gorgeous face. And I said, close your eyes, my son. You're going home to be with the Father. You will no longer be in pain. You will run and you will play like other children of your age. And you will be just fine. I will always be with you, and one day we will see each other again. He closed his eyes and he went to sleep. And when I heard the machine reach 0 and it started beeping, as tears was flowing in my eyes, I handed Arius over to his doctor and I passed out. I stopped breathing. I didn't think I was going to get through the storm. I just couldn't imagine him not being in our lives anymore, and I stopped breathing. As a team rushed into the room, I could hear them working on me. I could feel them working on me. And all of a sudden, I heard someone say, "What about your other son? Fight. You've got to come back to us. You got another one that you have got to be with." And I said, God, as I saw the light, and I was going toward the light with Arius, and all of a sudden, I started fighting until I came back. And I realized I made it through that storm with God. But it was another blessing there for me that He had given me 3 years prior to Arius' birth that I had to fight for. And that is exactly what I did. And as time went on, I heard God say those words that I told you up above. I gave you 17 months. Arius could have been stillborn. Can you imagine birthing a baby in this world and you will never see him breathe? At that point in my life, it was forever changed. And now I can go through any storm because I know it's a blessing on the other side.